Morning, Ian, Somerset News Network. Newsflash. Ex-Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has been arrested and is in custody for malfeasance in public office. Now, this comes out after the emails from Epstein and the Epstein files. It is alleged that Andrew gave Epstein inside information when he was the business envoy for this country. So he would have been working with Mandelson and Brown, and there was sensitive business information about the Chancellor and what the Chancellor was going to do and could have affected the markets, and giving Epstein that information. That are the allegations. Now, the reporters this morning, I've been flipping through the channels trying to see what people are saying. Now, you've got to remember that there's an element of woke, left-wing, anti-monarchists in the mainstream media. And I'll tell you, on some of the YouTube channels I've been watching this morning, they've been saying, how much did the king know, and does he have to abdicate? Well, they're saying, oh, he must have known because he paid. Dufresnoy gave Andrew 12 million. We all knew about Dufresnoy. We all knew it was in the press. It was all over the internet. So we all know about it. So the king would have known about that. Now, the question should be asked, did the king know about Andrew giving away state secrets to Epstein? And I would suggest he did not. Now, you've got to remember, this was done under the Queen, under the late Queen, not under Prince Charles, who was then the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Cornwall, and was managing the Duchy of Cornwall. So, how much did the Queen know? Because I suspect the courtiers handled it and didn't get involved with the Queen. They would have tried to just hush it all up. Now, today, the king can't act without consulting what's called the Privy Council. The Privy Council is senior politicians. Now, the Prime Minister, the Chancellor, the Foreign Secretary are normally on that Privy Council. Retired politicians are on that Privy Council. So it'd be people like Cameron, Sunak, may be on the Privy Council. They advise the king. The king says, oh, what can I do? What do I do? They would then take legal advice. Now, I think, this is my thinking, is Mandelson was also on the Privy Council. Mandelson was advising the Prime Ministers, Tony Blair, Brown, and was on the Privy Council even in the Conservative days. It wouldn't have been in his interest for the Epstein allegations to be looked into from our police force, our royal family. So he would have been trying to downplay the allegations, whatever they were at the time. Now, we've got no proof that the king knew about Andrew giving Epstein sensitive information. That came up in the Epstein files and nobody knew anything about it until it came out in the Epstein files this last month. They're saying they're calling for the king's head. They want him to resign, want him to abdicate. You've got to remember that the woke world is anti-monarchy. They want to try and bring the monarchy down. One of the things they're trying to do is get Meghan and Harry into the crown so that they can control them. They don't want Charles and they don't want William. They want them both gone. But at the moment, they'll concentrate on Charles, get rid of him, put William in, then have a go at William. And then they say, oh, we're going to have a king. Who's going to have a king? Oh, we'll have William. We'll have Harry. And then Meghan will be queen. That's the woke plan. I tell you, there's more involved in this than what you see on the surface. And I think that Mandelson, behind the scenes, has been advising the Prime Minister and the Crown, or fire the Prime Minister to the Crown, to take the actions he did or not take the actions he did. But if ex-Prince Andrew is in police custody for giving state secrets away to Epstein, where does that leave Mandelson? Why aren't the police got Mandelson in a police station interviewing him? How come he's allowed to get away with it? They say no one's above the law. One commentator this morning said that they can't arrest the king even if he knew. Like the king's above the law. No, we sorted that out with John Locke. John Locke said the king is not above the law. And that was in the late 1600s. That's why we had the Glorious Revolution. Because the king is not above the law. It's when we got rid of the tyranny of James II. We're now under the tyranny of a Labour government. So it's in the interest of Starmer. Starmer was interviewed this morning, and some of the YouTube channels have been playing clips of him, saying that Andrew should testify. What he's doing is diverting the information, diverting your eyes. He's throwing Andrew under the bus to protect Mandelson and himself and whoever else is involved in this Epstein crisis. He's not interested in the royal family. He's trying to save his skin. Now, we've got a constitutional monarchy. The king hasn't got any powers, yet people are talking as if the king is in charge. The power of the crown was taken away from the crown in 1688 with the Glorious Revolution. That gave us the Bill of Rights. That's what this is all about. Freedom of speech and debate. Now, the power lies with three groups: the Commons, the Lords, and the monarchy. It's a constitutional monarchy. The king acts on the advice of the Privy Council. The Privy Council is mainly run by senior politicians, retired, still serving. They have got a lot to do with what's going on now. Starmer is, I would imagine, being advised by Mandelson, even though he's allegedly resigned. He's no longer on the Privy Council, but that doesn't mean that he's not still advising Starmer. Now, what we've got to find out is what Starmer and Lammy are advising the king. Because it'll only be in their interest, not in the king's interest. And the press that's coming out and the whispers behind the scenes in the woke media is all from Starmer, Lammy, and it would be the Foreign Secretary and the Home Secretary, who are anti-monarchists. We're a constitutional monarch. The king hasn't done anything wrong. The king was not involved in Epstein. They say, oh, he must have known, therefore he's got to resign. But we all knew. Once the Giuffre files came out and the court case came out, we all knew. So the king must have known. So that's not an excuse. What has Andrew really been up to is the question. And the other thing is, if, like I've said, if Andrew is arrested and in police custody, Mandel should be in a police station answering for his crimes. He's walking around free. And the other person that should be interviewed by the police are the people who are in the photographs. We have Prince Andrew with Meghan Markle on a yacht allegedly owned by Epstein. Got my mother's false teeth in. Meghan Markle should be interviewed by the police of her role in all this. She might not know what was going on, but she knew who was there and who was interacting with who. She will have circumstantial evidence. And was it? People on the internet are questioning whether the girl in the bathrobe in the photograph with Mandelson without his trousers on is Meghan Markle. I looked at it and said, oh, that's Meghan Markle. That's what I thought. But there's no evidence that it was Meghan Markle. But Meghan Markle should be interviewed by the police on what her role was and what she saw and what she knows. She can't get away with this. You can't just brush her aside because she's photographed with the people that are involved. So the question's got to be, what was the Privy Council when Mandelson was on it, advising the Prime Minister and the King what to do? That's what we got to know, and we'll never know because they don't talk about it. Anyway, that's my little rant for this morning over. I've got a couple more videos to do this morning. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to post this, and I'll say more later when we got more information. Bye-bye for now.